The sky burned red as alien warships hovered over Earth's last free city. The Krevans had taken almost everything. Countries fell, armies crumbled, and millions were enslaved. Humanity was losing. Dr. Alina Hayes, a scientist who had once studied the stars with wonder, now hid in the ruins of an old laboratory. Around her, a small group of survivors waited for her to speak. They weren't soldiers. They were engineers, hackers, and mechanics. The war had left them with nothing but desperation. "We found something," Alina whispered, holding up a tablet. "It's not a weapon, but it might be worse for them." The group leaned in, their faces filled with hope and fear. "This was buried deep in an abandoned research facility," Alina continued. "It's an old Terran project, something built decades ago but never used. A machine designed to disrupt enemy technology. The problem? It was too powerful. Our leaders feared it could shut down our own systems, so they buried it." A young engineer named Ravi frowned. "If it's that dangerous, how do we control it?" Alina looked at him. "We don't. We just have to aim it at the Krivans and hope it works." The city trembled as another Krivan patrol ship passed overhead. They had no time to hesitate. The machine was hidden deep beneath an underground bunker, covered in dust and forgotten by time. It wasn't a weapon in the traditional sense. It was a pulse generator, something that could send a massive energy wave through the atmosphere. If it worked, it would disable everything electronic, including the Krivans' war machines. But there was a problem. "It's not ready," Ravi muttered, wiping sweat from his forehead. "Parts are missing. We need to find replacements." Alina sighed. "Then we scavenge." The team split up, moving carefully through the ruined city. Krivan drones patrolled the streets, scanning for survivors. Any human caught was either executed or taken away. No one knew where. Alina and Ravi found an old power station. Its generators were still intact. But as they pulled out components, a low growl filled the air. Krivan soldiers. Their sleek metallic armor reflected the dim light, their reptilian faces emotionless. One of them raised a scanner. Human presence detected. Alina grabbed a rusted pipe and swung hard. The scanner shattered, and the soldiers staggered back. But there were more coming. "Run!" she yelled. They sprinted through the ruins, dodging laser fire. A burning smell filled the air as a blast nearly hit them. Just when it seemed like they would be caught, an explosion rocked the streets. From the shadows, a group of hidden Terran fighters emerged, attacking the Krivans with makeshift weapons and stolen alien tech. The aliens, unprepared for resistance, retreated. A tall man with a scarred face stepped forward. "You must be Dr. Hayes." Alina nodded, breathing heavily. "Who are you?" "Captain Elias Carter. What's left of the 5 Terran fleet." They had just found unexpected allies. Back at the bunker, the machine was almost ready. Ravi worked fast, connecting the final pieces. "It's now or never," he said. Outside, the Krivans were moving in. They had detected the activity beneath the city and sent an entire squadron to wipe out the last human stronghold. Alina stood in front of the machine. "If this works, the Krivans lose their ships, their weapons, everything." Captain Carter nodded. "And if it doesn't?" She didn't answer. Ravi flipped the switch. A deep hum filled the bunker, rising into a deafening pulse. The ground shook. The lights flickered. Then silence. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, a distant explosion, followed by another. And another. The team rushed outside and saw something they never thought possible. Krivan warships were falling from the sky like dying stars. Their weapons powered down. Their drones crashed. The mighty invaders, who had conquered entire planets, were helpless. Cheers erupted from the survivors. But Alina wasn't celebrating yet. She looked at the horizon, where Krivan ground forces still stood. They weren't beaten. "Not yet. They still have numbers," Captain Carter warned. "But we have the advantage now," Alina replied. The Krivans were powerful, but they had made one mistake. They thought humans would just give up. They were wrong. Because today, the Terrans fought back. The city of New Orion was once a beacon of human progress. Now, it was nothing more than a ruin under alien control. The Krevans had conquered Earth in weeks, crushing armies and enslaving millions. The streets were silent, except for the occasional whir of Krivan drones scanning for survivors. Liam crouched behind a collapsed building, his heart pounding. He wasn't a soldier. Before the invasion, he was just a mechanic fixing transport ships. Now, he was running for his life. He adjusted his breathing mask and checked the alley ahead. Two Krivan enforcers, tall and armored, blocked the path. Their glowing blue eyes scanned the area, searching for any sign of human activity. Liam had no weapon. He had no plan. But he had something better. Hope.it started a week ago, when he intercepted a strange signal on an old radio. A voice, broken by static, whispered a message: "The fight isn't over. If you can hear this, come to the old subway tunnels. You are not alone." The words played over and over in his mind. A resistance? Was it possible? He had seen so many people give up, accept slavery, or worse, join the Krivans as traitors. But if there were rebels still fighting, he had to find them. Now, standing in the ruins, he had one chance. Taking a deep breath, Liam picked up a metal pipe and threw it across the street. The loud clang echoed through the empty alley. The Krivan enforcers turned their heads and moved toward the sound. That was his chance. He sprinted down a side path, slipping through a crack in the wall, and disappeared into the underground tunnels. The subway was dark, damp, and smelled of rust. Broken trains rested on dead tracks. Graffiti covered the walls, old messages of resistance and new warnings about Krivan patrols. Liam moved carefully, following faint markings on the walls, arrows pointing deeper underground. Then he heard voices. He pressed himself against the wall and listened. "Another Krivan transport raided today. We got supplies, but they'll come looking for us," a deep voice said. "Then we need to move faster." "We don't have time," a woman replied. Liam stepped forward. "I heard your signal." Weapons were drawn in an instant. Flashlights blinded him. He raised his hands. "I'm human. I swear." The lights lowered slightly, revealing a group of people, dirty, tired, but determined. A tall man with a scar on his face stepped forward. "I'm Commander Rourke," he said. "Who are you, Liam?" "I want to fight." Rourke studied him for a moment, then nodded. "Then you came to the right place." The rebel base was deeper in the tunnels. Dozens of survivors worked to repair stolen Krivan weapons, hack into enemy networks, and plan their next attack. "We've been hitting Krivan supply routes, but it's not enough," Rourke explained. "We need something bigger." Liam listened, his mind racing. He was just a mechanic, but he knew Krivan technology better than most. "There's a power station north of the city," he said. "Krivan patrols are light there. If we take it out, it'll shut down their local command systems." Rourke raised an eyebrow. "And how do you know that?" Liam hesitated. "I used to work there." "Before?" "Everything." Silence filled the room. Then the woman from earlier, Eva, grinned. "I like him." Rourke nodded. "All right. We hit the station tomorrow." Night fell, and the rebels moved through the ruins like shadows. The power station was heavily fortified, but Liam led them through an old service tunnel. Inside, Krivan engineers worked, unaware of the humans sneaking past. Liam moved quickly, accessing an old control panel. His hands trembled as he rewired the circuits. Then the alarm blared. The Krivans turned, eyes glowing with fury. Rourke shouted. Gunfire erupted. Rebels and Krivans clashed in a brutal fight. Liam worked frantically, bypassing the final security locks. A Krivan soldier lunged at him. He ducked, grabbing a wrench and swinging with all his strength. The alien staggered back. "Liam, now!" Eva yelled. He slammed the final switch. The lights flickered. Then, the entire power grid shut down. Outside, Krivan war machines powered down. Communication signals failed. Across the city, the alien forces were left confused and blind. The rebels had won their first real victory. Back in the tunnels, the rebels celebrated. But Rourke remained serious. "This is just the beginning," he said. "The Krivans will retaliate." Liam looked at the faces around him, people who had lost everything but refused to surrender. "We'll be ready," he said. Because tonight, the hidden rebel force had shown the Krivans one thing: humanity wasn't beaten yet. The ruins of old Earth were silent. The war had turned cities into dust, leaving behind nothing but broken steel and shattered hopes. The Krivans controlled everything, their warships darkening the sky, their machines hunting down the last humans. But deep beneath the ground, something ancient was waiting. Something built long before the invasion. Captain Ilya Korin had spent years searching for it. Now, standing in a forgotten military bunker, he was closer than ever. His team, a mix of scavengers and ex-soldiers, followed him into the darkness. "This place gives me a bad feeling," whispered Marco, a former engineer. Ilya ignored him. He ran his fingers over the wall until he found the symbol, an old Terran insignia, barely visible under the dust. "This is it," he said. He pressed a hidden switch. With a deep groan, the metal door slid open, revealing a massive underground chamber. And at the center of it stood the weapon. It wasn't a missile. It wasn't a bomb. It was something different. A machine, ancient yet advanced, covered in strange markings. It pulsed with a faint blue glow. "What the hell is this?" Eva, the team's tech expert, muttered. Ilya stepped forward, his heart pounding. This was made before the war," he said. "Before even the Krivans knew about us." Marco ran a scanner over the machine. His face paled. "This thing, it's alive." The words sent a chill through the group. Eva frowned. "You mean AI?" Marco shook his head. "No. More than that. It's aware." A deep, metallic voice echoed through the chamber. IDENT-IFY. The team froze. Guns were raised. Ilya took a deep breath. "We are Terrans. We need your help." Silence. Then the voice spoke again. TERAINSIGNALCONF IRMED. Ilya stepped closer. "The Krivans. They've taken our planet. We need to fight back." The machine hummed. Lights flickered. ENEMYIDENT IFIED ENGAGINGPROTOCOL. A control panel slid open. Symbols flashed across the screen. Marco gasped. "It's downloading something. It's activating." Eva's eyes widened. "Wait, should we be doing this?" Ilya didn't hesitate. "We don't have a choice." Outside, the Krivans had tracked them. A squad of alien enforcers moved through the ruins, their scanners locking onto the bunker entrance. Inside, alarms blared. WARNINGE and EMYPRESE NCEDETE CTED. Ilya turned to his team. "They're coming. We need to move fast." Eva worked the controls. "It's building something, but I don't know what." Marco swore under his breath. "This thing hasn't been touched for decades. What if it's broken? What if it doesn't work?" The chamber shook as an explosion echoed above. The Krivans were breaching the entrance. Ilya grabbed his rifle. "Then we fight." The battle was brutal. Krivan soldiers stormed the bunker, their plasma rifles cutting through the darkness. The humans fired back, using whatever cover they could find. Eva ducked behind a console, typing frantically. Come on, a Krivan charged at her." She barely had time to scream before a pulse of energy shot from the machine, hitting the alien directly. The Krivan collapsed, its armor short-circuiting. Eva stared. "Did it just—" The machine's voice echoed. ENEMYNEUTRALIZED. SWYSTEMSONLINA. Then, the entire bunker began to shake. A massive structure rose from the ground. A towering mech, ancient but powerful, its core glowing like a star. Ilya's breath caught. It's a war machine. The Krivans hesitated, unsure of what they were seeing. That was their mistake. The mech moved. With terrifying speed, it grabbed a Crevan soldier and crushed it like paper. Energy cannons activated, blasting enemy forces with raw power. The Crevans panicked. Their weapons failed. Their forces fell back. For the first time, they were the ones running. The battle was over in minutes. Smoke filled the air. The Crevan forces were gone. Ilya turned to the machine. "Can you keep fighting?" The deep voice responded. TERRANCOMMANDCEPTEDTERGETKRIVANO Eva smiled. "I think we just changed the war." Ilya nodded. Humanity had lost so much. But now they had the lost weapon, and the fight had just begun. The city of New Zenith was under Crevan control. Once a symbol of human strength, it was now filled with alien patrols, surveillance drones, and fear. Ethan Vale walked through the ruins, his face hidden under a hood. The humans who remained kept their heads down, afraid to make eye contact. The Crevans had broken their spirits. But Ethan wasn't just another survivor. He was a traitor. Ethan had once been a soldier. He had fought when the Crevans first invaded, had seen friends die, and had watched Earth's defenses crumble. When defeat became certain, he made a choice. He surrendered. The Crevans spared him, but on one condition: he would serve them. He would hunt down the last of the resistance. And so, he became their informant, feeding them information, exposing hideouts, leading them to those still fighting. But today was different. Today, he wasn't looking for rebels. Today, he was looking for her. The meeting place was an abandoned library, its walls covered in dust and old memories. He moved carefully, stepping over broken furniture and shattered glass. Then, he heard a whisper. "You shouldn't have come." Ethan turned. A woman stood in the shadows, holding a knife. Her dark eyes burned with hatred. "Hello, Mira," Ethan said softly. Mira. A leader of the resistance. The one person who had trusted him before he betrayed them all. She didn't lower the knife. "Why are you here, traitor?" Ethan exhaled. "Because I have information." Mira's grip tightened. "The last time we listened to you, 20 of us died." "I know," he admitted, "and I can't undo that. But you need to hear me out." She didn't answer, but she didn't leave either. That was enough. Ethan stepped closer. "The Crevans are planning something. Something worse than occupation. They're not just taking over Earth. They're wiping us out." Mira's expression didn't change. "Why should I believe you?" "Because I finally know the truth," Ethan said. His voice was unsteady. "And it's worse than we imagined. The Crevans never intended to keep humans as slaves." That was just the first step. Ethan had seen the hidden files. He had listened to their encrypted communications. The Crevans weren't here to rule, they were here to erase. A final operation had been planned. A planetary purge. A complete extinction of the human race. "They've been testing a bioweapon," Ethan explained. "A virus designed to wipe us out in days. The countdown has already started." Mira's knife didn't waver. "And why would you tell us this now?" Ethan's voice was barely a whisper. "Because I thought I was saving myself when I betrayed you. But I was wrong. The Crevans don't keep their promises. They used me. And when the purge begins, I'll die with the rest of you." Silence. Mira studied him, searching for any trace of a lie. Then, she made a decision. "If you're telling the truth, we need proof," she said. Ethan nodded. "I know where to get it." The Crevan data center was one of the most secure locations in the city. It was where they stored everything: battle plans, surveillance logs, and, most importantly, the purge protocol. Breaking in was impossible. But Ethan had access. Or at least he used to. Dressed in his old uniform, he approached the gates. The Crevan guards scanned him, their cold eyes unreadable. "Authorization?" one of them asked. Ethan's heart pounded. He entered his old access code. A pause. Then a CCESS Granted. He was in. Mira waited outside, hidden among the ruins, watching through binoculars. "Come on, traitor," she muttered. "Don't mess this up." Inside, Ethan moved quickly. He reached the main terminal and inserted a stolen data drive. The files loaded onto the device, second by second. Then an alarm blared. He had been detected. Krevan enforcers stormed the room, their weapons raised. Human detected. Surrender immediately. Ethan didn't hesitate. He grabbed the drive and ran. Shots fired. Metal sparked. He ducked, sprinting through the corridors, dodging security drones. The exit was so close then, a Krivan tackled him. Pain exploded in his ribs as he hit the ground. The alien pressed a blade against his throat. "You were useful," it hissed. "Now you die." Ethan struggled, gasping for air. He had known this was a suicide mission. He had accepted it. Then a gunshot. The Krivan's body jerked. It collapsed, lifeless. Ethan turned his head. Mira stood there, holding a smoking rifle. "Move!" she ordered. They ran. Back in the ruins, the rebels gathered around as Mira inserted the drive into a hacked terminal. The data loaded, revealing the terrifying truth. The purge was real. It would begin in 3 days. The resistance had little time. But now, they had the proof. Mira turned to Ethan. "You got us this information. But that doesn't mean you're forgiven." Ethan nodded. "I don't expect forgiveness. I just want to stop them." Mira studied him, then finally spoke. "Then welcome to the resistance." Ethan exhaled. Maybe he would never erase his past. But now, he had a chance to fight for the future. And he wouldn't waste it. The war had lasted too long. Earth was dying. Cities had turned to ash, oceans boiled under plasma bombardments, and the last human strongholds were barely holding on. The Krevans had won. Or so they thought. General Adrian Cross stood in an underground command center, staring at the holographic map of the battlefield. Red markers covered most of the screen Krevan forces. The blue markers, representing humans, were few. Too few. "This is it," Cross said. "We have one chance left." The resistance fighters gathered around the table. Their faces were tired, but their eyes burned with determination. They had survived too much to give up now. Command sent the order, Captain Reina Torres said. "We push for the capital. We either take back Earth today or we die trying." Cross nodded. "Then, let's make it count." The plan was madness. The Krevans had built their command center in the ruins of Washington, D.C., turning the city into an impenetrable fortress. Shield generators protected their headquarters, and thousands of enemy soldiers patrolled the streets. A direct attack would be suicide. But the resistance wasn't going in head-on. "We have a way in," said Leon, their best scout. He pointed at the map. "There's an old subway system beneath the city. The Krevans don't use it. Too unstable." Cross traced the route with his finger. "If we get through, we can reach their control hub and shut down their defenses." "And once the shields are down?" Reina asked. Cross's eyes hardened. "We call in everything we have left and hit them with everything we've got." Silence. Then Reina grinned. "Sounds impossible." Leon smirked. "My favorite kind of mission." Cross gave a final nod. "Then let's move." The tunnels were dark, damp, and filled with echoes of the past. Rusted train cars sat abandoned, covered in dust and vines. Rats skittered in the shadows. The team moved carefully, weapons ready. They had almost reached the exit when they heard a low growl. "Stop." Cross raised his fist. Something was ahead. Something big. Then red eyes blinked in the darkness. Krevan war beasts. Massive, four-legged creatures, covered in bioarmor. The Krevans used them for hunting survivors. And now, they had found the resistance. The first beast lunged. Cross fired first, his plasma rifle lighting up the tunnel. The others followed, filling the air with gunfire. The creatures roared, charging through the bullets. One pounced, knocking a soldier to the ground. Before it could kill him, Reyna drove a blade into its throat. Another beast lunged at Leon. He dived, rolled, and blasted it point blank. The tunnel filled with smoke and the smell of burning flesh. Then silence. Reyna wiped blood from her face. Well, they know we're here now. Cross reloaded. Then we move faster. They reached the surface. The Creven headquarters loomed before them, a massive structure built from the bones of human history. The White House was gone, replaced by a towering alien citadel. Leon hacked into a nearby terminal. I'm in. Disabling shields. Now, a pulse of energy shot through the city. The Creven defenses flickered, then collapsed. Cross grabbed his radio. All units, this is Cross. The shields are down. Repeat, the shields are down. Static. Then copy that, General. Reinforcements inbound. In the sky, streaks of light appeared. Human ships. The final fleet. The last battle had begun. Explosions rocked the ground as the resistance stormed forward. Gunfire. Screams. Smoke. Cross led the charge, cutting through enemy lines. He saw Reyna take down a Creven officer with a brutal shot to the head. Leon used explosives to clear a path forward. The battle was chaos. But then something changed. The Creven forces hesitated. Their movements became erratic. Cross noticed it first. They're retreating? Leon checked his scanner. His eyes widened. General, look at the sky. Cross looked up, and his breath caught. Creven warships were leaving. Not just retreating. Fleeing. What the hell is going on? Reyna asked. Then, through the smoke, a figure emerged. A human. But not just any human. Dr. Elias Carter. The scientist who had vanished years ago. The man the Crevens had captured when the war first began. He was alive, and he was smiling. I think, Carter said, stepping forward, we just won. The battle ended within hours. Without their shields, without their leadership, the Creven forces crumbled. Carter explained everything. The Crevens were not as strong as they pretended to be, he said. They had weaknesses, and I found them. Through years of captivity, Carter had studied the Crevens. He had learned their biology, their fears, their limits. And he had created a virus. A weapon not of steel or fire, but of science. The moment we disabled their shields, I released it. It disrupts their neural networks. They can't fight anymore. They can't even think straight. Cross stared at him. So they ran. Carter nodded. They ran. Days later, the last Creven ship vanished from Earth's atmosphere. The war was over. Cross stood on a ruined balcony, looking over the broken city. It would take years to rebuild. But Earth was free. Reyna joined him, crossing her arms. You really thought we'd live to see this? Cross chuckled. Not for a second. Leon leaned against the wall. So what now? Cross looked up at the sky, where the last traces of war had finally faded. Now, he said, now we rebuild. Humanity had survived. And this time, they would be ready for whatever came next.